It is the 2022 award season, folks, and the 94th Academy Awards is approaching quickly. And with a packed 10 Best Picture nominations this year, the questions are stacking up. Will Will Smith rise as king for his first ever Oscar win for Best Actor? Can Steven Spielberg dance and sing his way to another win for Best Director? Does the dog have the power to nab top prize? Or could it perhaps be No Way Home? The Spider-Man... Oh, wait, it wasn't nominated. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Ellis, and welcome to technically the after show, but this is going to act more as a preamble to the 2022 Oscars ceremony. That's right. We are here to run through all of our picks. And when I say our picks, I mean two esteemed, very special, very informed guests. I'm just running the ship because I'll be honest with everybody at home. I want to go 23 for 23 on my ballot, not because I need the perfect score, just because I so desperately want to beat my mom in our annual Oscar pool. Now, if you're like me and you want to get as many picks right as possible, you should probably listen to what our experts have to say, and then I'll introduce them, and then I get the power of being the tiebreaker. And so way too much for me, which is why I should introduce Scott Mantz and Jacqueline Coley. Jacqueline Coley is an editor at Rotten Tomatoes. Scott Mantz, someone you see on every red carpet and every panel, hosting things from coast to coast. And now they are here. They are ready to go. Jacqueline, I want to start with you. Just as far as the Oscars itself and really awards season, how has the pandemic changed the process of how we look at awards and how we prognosticate what we could see win at the Oscars?
Yeah, of this award season, particularly of the Oscars, the two biggest things that have affected the season is the pandemic and then also the Olympics, which sort of jumbled up the calendar, which it does every 4 years as far as the Olympics. But with the pandemic, a lot of the precursor awards that we would have at this point when you, me, and Scott were sitting down, in the office doing this, have been removed. Also one of the reasons why we're doing this at home. So we don't have the WGA and the PGA and the Critics' Choice Awards. We do have the Golden Globes and we do have the SAG Awards as sort of precursor awards to decide what's happened. But with the BAFTAs, DGA, WGA, and a lot of the Guild Awards still coming, we're a little bit better than guesswork this time of year.
Well, sir, let me roll it to you in just one sec. But first, I'm going to tell everybody at home watching around the world how we're going to do this ceremony. This is the only time where I get a plus to the event, and Jacqueline and Scott are going to be on my arm as we take you through each and every category that the Academy Awards in their 94th iteration has to offer. We're going to start with Best Supporting, and then we're going to go through to all the way down to the Best Short Animation, and then we're going to go to our Big Four, which is your lead actor and actress, director, and ultimately Best Picture. Don't worry, we did not forget about the fan favorite, which is a new category that I put in quotes that the Oscars has initiated this year to award some popular films some love. We also did a fan poll here at Rotten Tomatoes. So for every category, Rotten Tomatoes and their incredible social team did a poll for fans. And it says, hey, which do you think is going to win? And so I'll let you all know which one that one after we get Scott and Jacqueline picking. Maybe that could sway me if once again I have to wield my tie-breaking silver hammer. So with all of that out of the way, make sure those pencils are sharpened. You're ready to go because again, Mom, Junior's coming for you. I'm taking it this year with the help of my dear friends Jacqueline and Scott. Here we go with your Best Actress in a Supporting Role. Kicking things off with you, Scott Mantz, who is taking the Best Supporting Actress Oscar.
This one is easy. I think this is one of the lock categories. Supporting actress Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. I loved everything about West Side Story. So to say that Ariana DeBose is the best thing about West Side Story is a pretty bold statement, but she just stole this movie from just such heavyweights. And I just thought she was just absolutely magnificent. Halfway through the film, I felt like she is going to win supporting actress. And of course, she is on her way, especially after the SAG Award win.
All right, Jacqueline, you and Scott have a good-natured rivalry when it comes to Oscar picks. Are we starting off copacetic, or do you have a different take?
We're going to pretty much start off copacetic. The only thing I would add to that is Jessie Buckley's nomination for The Lost Daughter essentially came out of nowhere in a lot of people's estimation, which to me means that there was a definite, I would say, group of folks that were very interested in whether or not she could take home a prize because she's been sort of on the outskirts of a lot of stuff. So I still think it's Ariana DeBose's to lose. However, keep an eye on The Lost Daughter, because I will say this year, a film based in America, a very American story, I don't think is going to be the one that wins as easily.
I am going to go Ariana DeBose as well. And the fans, however, went different. They went with Kirsten Dunst's Power of the Dog. 39% of the fans voting for Kirsten Dunst. That is the first, but not the last time you're going to hear the name Power of the Dog in this discussion, as 12 nominations can sort of get you some love when we do shows like this. So let's move on to Best Supporting Actor, starting with you, Jacqueline Coley, who's taking the little guy.
I think this one is definitely a consensus pick, and I think that Scott is going to be agreeing with me on this one. I got to spend a lot of time with this cast, and I'm going to go ahead and put my mark on Troy Kotsur for Coda. He also is sitting in the front runner position as well.
I couldn't agree more. Troy Kotsur, he was, that movie is very, very special. I've been singing its praises, no pun intended, for 13 months since I saw it for the first time at Sundance as part of the Virtual Film Festival last year. And it has been my favorite movie all year long. I've never wavered on this, even after the fall film festivals kicked in with all those movies. It's a special film. And, of course, Troy Kotsur won the SAG Award for Supporting Actor. I think it's a lock as well.
I mean, look, I'm with y'all, but the fans seem to have a disagreement. They seem to love the Power of the Dog because Cody Smith-McPhee was the fan pick with 35% of the vote, as my dog is currently snoring on the couch. So let's move on to Original Screenplay. Scott Mans, going back to you. This sometimes can be an indicator as to what could win Best Picture. Where do you see Original Screenplay going?
It's usually, you're right, Mark. It can lead to, sort of give a good sign as to what's going to get Best Picture. In this case, I'm not so sure, because my pick for Best Original Screenplay is Belfast, written by Kenneth Branagh. I love the movie, and I saw it at Telluride last September, but I feel like it's kind of lost a little momentum, and I feel like its best chances are for Original Screenplay, and that Kenneth Branagh will win his first Academy Award.
All right, Jacqueline, you feel in the love for Ireland?
I do, actually. I do think that Belfast is actually more of the consensus pick. I will say that. It's also an international film. I think you're going to see in my picks today, international reach and international audience are going to be a much bigger factor in the Academy Awards this year and every year going forward because of how many folks they've invited over the past few years. So Kenneth Branagh being such a name on the international stage, I think is going to serve him better than any of the other folks. The only one I would put beneath that is the other international film, and that's Worst Person in the World. But the lack of a Best Picture nomination makes me think Belfast has got it.
Yeah, the worst person in the world, 98% on the tomato meter. And it's funny because I would take Belfast as well. And that's why I encourage everybody to check in your Oscar pool. But the fan vote went with Don't Look Up, which is the only rotten movie, according to the tomato meter, in this category, 56% of the tomato meter. So Don't Look Up is the fan pick, but I think I'm going with Belfast, one of my favorites of the year. But that's not the only screenplay category. No, there's original screenplay, then there's adapted screenplay. So Jacqueline, we kick off with you for this one.
So this is what's really interesting about this. So when you look at adapted screenplay, there's a lot of folks that arguably have a case for themselves because other categories where they won't necessarily get recognition, except for Jane Campion. She is probably definitely going to get recognition elsewhere, so I'm knocking her off. Coda is just such a huge crowd pleaser, and honestly is a dark horse Best Picture candidate. But on this one, I'm actually going to go ahead and go with the more consensus choice and give it up for Coda. And when I say consensus, I mean feel-good choice, the more populist choice, because I really do feel this film is peaking right at the right time. And the person who has not really had the biggest spotlight on her about it is the writer-director Sean Hayter.
So for me, this really came down to between Coda and The Lost Daughter, screenplays that were written by women. And I thought Maggie Gyllenhaal just knocked it out of the park with The Lost Daughter, her feature film directorial debut. But I do think that Coda is the one to beat here. It is a beloved film. It's certainly on the rise. The timing is right. There's a lot of momentum around Coda. I think a lot of people are going to watch this movie now who haven't seen it yet, but they will after its two history-making wins at the SAG Awards. But regardless, I think Coda, Sean Hayter, gets it here.
All right, so we almost had our first opportunity for me to be the tiebreaker, and I'm just being honest with y'all. If I got the chance to be the tiebreaker, I was going to go with what the fan poll said from our Rotten Tomatoes team. They said Dune, 45%, which is a new high for us thus far in the show. They said Dune, and like y'all said, Denny not getting a Best Director nomination. I think maybe this could be the category. Is there a chance? But right now, we move on to a category where I've been instructed to not talk about Bruno. That would be animated feature. Jacqueline, you get to kick us off here. What's taking the cake?
This one's actually very difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. Animated films, it's always usually about the Pixar bent, the Pixar, Disney sort of dominance. And in this category, they take 3 of the 5 entries. What's interesting is we also have Flea, which is nominated in 3 categories. And it's one of these questions where this film could sweep. It could get a mix of one, but I don't know. I think it's a hard time to go against a film like Encanto or Mitchell versus the Machines. So at this current moment, I'm going to go ahead and go with my heart and say Mitchell versus the Machines, but I'm going to hope that Netflix really circles the wagons and gets these guys out a lot for campaigning, because I think that's going to be the difference in this one.
So you're going with Mitchell's versus the Machines for
animated? I am going with Mitchell's versus the Machines against Encanto, but I'm also doing it against my better judgment, which tells me Encanto, Billboard box office hit. They couldn't nominate the song that everybody loves. The TikToker kids are watching it. It's just in my head. I'm like, there's so much around this movie that keeps people talking about it. It's hard to surmount. However, anybody who watches Mitchell versus the Machines, it's sort of the same way it was with Sony with Spider-Verse when it was able to beat the Pixar dominance. It's because it's just a better made movie.
Well, Spider-Verse was a masterpiece, and there was no other animated feature that looked like it. It was bold and daring. That's why that movie won. And my better judgment is telling me that Encanto is going to get animated feature. Yes, I mean, Luca is the Pixar movie, but Luca is not one of the better Pixar movies. Raya and the Last Dragon, personally, for me, of the 5 animated feature nominees, I thought Raya and the Last Dragon was just magnificent. I loved it. It's my favorite of the bunch. And I loved Mitchell's versus the Machines, but I just feel like Encanto is there's an international feel for that movie, and I think that does go a long way. The music is great. It's a beloved film. It's Disney. It's not Pixar, but it is Disney, and that takes it for animated feature, I think.
All right, so we got Encanto versus Mitchell's versus the Machines. It's a fight here, is what we're saying for animated features. So I think that both of my panelists made great points here. I'm going to lean towards what the fans have said in the fan poll. They went with 48% worth of Encanto. And so I'm going to go with Encanto as well. That's what I'm circling on the ballot. But Jacqueline does make a great point. Mitchell's versus Machines could be kicking it in that final stretch for Oscar campaigning. So keep your eyes. It's probably between one of those, but check out Flea as well. I mean, all these movies really well done.
Flea is great.
Flea is amazing.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Fled, which is an action movie starring Lawrence Fishburne and Stephen Baldwin. Good motorcycle chase in that. Let's move on to documentary feature. Scott, we're going back to you. People love documentaries these days. Maybe not so 20 years ago. Now, we can't stop watching documentaries, so it's a crowded field.
Oh, well, this is a crowded field. I mean, and it's always an embarrassment of riches, I have to say, in documentary feature. All 5 of these movies are great, but the one that really struck me as, I would say, the most revealing, the most uplifting, the most powerful, and certainly the timely and relevant over the last 2 years is Summer of Soul from Searchlight Pictures. I mean, it is. I mean, people have sort of like said it's like the Black Woodstock, but it's much more than that. I mean, I'm a big music buff, as you know. I think that's kind of obvious, but Summer of Soul was so enlightening, revealing, inspiring, and powerful. That's my pick for documentary feature.
Jacqueline?
We did it in IG Live. I've seen The Roots in concert over 17 times. I have been pushed away by Questlove's security more than once at a South by Southwest DJ show. So yes, my pick is Summer of Soul. My only caveat would be, currently, as I look at the landscape, Flea, a film that was nominated in 3 categories, might get shut out. Yeah. That being said, also, Summer of Soul is led by Questlove, who's the director of it. he is also not really available for campaigning because he has this little day job called working at The Tonight Show. So that film might, even though it's the better film with the better story, it might be hamstringed by the fact that Flea brings in Nicholas, Jamie from Game of Thrones, Nicholas Walter Koda, I'm going to say his name wrong, and also Riz Ahmed. Both of them are producers on the film and are part of the campaigning structure. Just saying that. I always like to say this. Good movies get nominated for Oscars. Good campaigns win awards. So Summer of Soul is my pick. Keep a lookout for Flea.
For your best documentary feature, which, as the panel says, will be Questlove's Summer of Soul. The fans thought it was going to be Flea. 36% saying Flea. No picture under 98% on the tomato meter here for best documentary feature. So we go from that to the best international film with some of these, maybe not the last time we hear those names. Scott, let's kick off with you for the best international piece.
All right, this is where I think Drive My Car is going to get it for international feature. I mean, I love The Worst Person in the World. I'm happy that it got nominated here and for screenplay, but I mean, there is a lot of love for Drive My Car, and it's certainly deserving of every nomination it's gotten, the four it's gotten. This is where it's going to win for sure.
All right, Jacqueline, you got Drive My Car?
Yeah, this is absolutely where this one's going to win. It is kind of a foregone conclusion. There's about 4, maybe 5 categories this year that I'm like, I don't even need to question where I stand on them, and that's Drive My Car is definitely one of them.
And the fans say that as well. 47% going for Drive My Car for best international film. So we go to cinematography, and this is always one of those sort of question marks because there's a lot of beautiful looking films this year. Jacqueline, what was the most picturesque?
The most picturesque film was not even nominated, in my personal opinion, but we will get to we will get to all of that later in another episode of like things Jacqueline is still mad about. But of the assorted nominees, this one I think is going to be a history-making one. It's also when I said there's some things that sound like a lock. This one is absolutely that, and that is cinematography for Power of the Dog. This is another aspect where Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and West Side Story could all make legitimate cases for why they're extraordinary feats of cinematic achievement. But there's a current story right now about especially female cinematographers after the tragedy on the Rust set. There's a conversation right now about this Ari Wegner being only the second female cinematographer to be nominated for this award after Rachel Morrison had the feat with Mudbound. It's almost inevitability. Sometimes there is moments where everything sort of aligns. You're going to have a hard time coming up with a better story about why this is now and why this is needed than Ari Wegner and Jane Campion holding up individual Oscars for what they did in that film.
Okay, well, I agree with that sentiment. Completely agree with that sentiment. But if you're going to compare the cinematography of Power of the Dog, which is glorious and beautiful, and compare it to the cinematography of Dune, there's no question that the better cinematography in this case is Dune. Greg Fraser lit the hell out of this movie. It is far and away, you're going to compare apples to apples just on the merits of the achievements, not on everything else that goes along with it, which does play a factor in how these votes play out, these winners play out. Greg Fraser crushed it. Cinematography for Dune.
I don't disagree.
Dune was made. It is a cinematographer's movie, and it is a crafts like tour de force for all of the crafts, production design.
Don't disagree, but so is West Side Story. Dude, you don't feel like West Side Story and Dune, those votes are going to be split?
I get how great it would be to have 2 women win for cinematography and director for Power of the Dog. But you can't just have a movie win because of that.
I didn't say it's not because of it. I'm doing the percentages. Wait a minute. It's not because of that. I'm saying when you talk about what people are going to rally behind, I'm telling you, I personally believe the votes for Dune and West Side Story are going to be split. They're both films that speak to a similar bent as far as cinematic appetite. Whether you prefer what Steven was be able to do with his, obviously, I think, more of a dramatic choice in cinematography, or the sweeping, lush landscape of Dune. But do not tell me when you're looking at the Power of the Dog and how they were able to light and sort of place the Montana atmosphere and make it feel like it was Montana, even though they were filming in New Zealand. There is cinematic achievement. I've been to Ari Wegner's cinematography presentation where she breaks down what they do in that film and craftsmanship. And I've been to the one for Dune. One leaves you warm in understanding what it is, and the other one is kind of a visual effects thing, and some people don't know which to discern between the two.
I'm going to try to make both y'all happy right now because the fans side with 53% worth for Dune. So that's good for Scott. However, as the tiebreaker here, I got to go with Power of the Dog. Sorry, Scott, and sorry, Dune. I think I would have given it to you for adapted screenplay. I would have done that. I'm not quite going to go there with cinematography, but maybe it's not the last time we have a Dune versus Power of the Dog argument because now we careen into film editing. So, Scott, I'll let you kick this one off. Which one is going to take the cake for all that behind-the-scenes work post-production?
Okay, I'm going to go again with Dune. I feel like if Dune is going to kind of have the impact on the crafts categories like Mad Max Fury Road. That is a film that just kind of like swept through everything. I don't think that Dune's going to sweep through everything. I have some different choices on some of the maybe more obvious ones that people think Dune will get. But I feel like Joe Walker did a superb job on the editing of Dune. I think that's the winner here.
All right, Jacqueline, you going Dune?
I'm also going with Dune. I do believe that this is absolutely where it's going to go, although I disagree that Dune is going to be Mad Max Fury Road. I think it's going to be more akin to Blade Runner, which I think only took home 2, cinematography and maybe sound or visual effects, but I think it's going to be more akin to that than the other. And I wanted to bring up Mank because Mank was the winner last year, and granted it was an off year as far as voting and numbers and so on and so forth. But that one was also one that was won on the presentation of that. Everyone assumed Nomadland with its sprawling, incredible sort of like cinematography. That movie is mostly about cinematography and how she was able to frame the American West. It's what Chloe Zhao is known for, and it's still lost to the one that was able to show what they took away and what they added. I really do feel as far as the cinematography this year, if you really dissect what's going on in Power of the Dog, you can actually see that the reason why it feels simple is because of all the work they made to make it look so effortless, but there was a lot more in how they achieved it.
All right, well, now we're back to all being friends because the fans agree. Dune is the pick, 39% in our fan poll. Dune, 83% on the tomato meter, but it goes up to 90% on the audience score. So, I mean, like a lot of these films are going to be fresh, if not certified fresh, if not 90% or above. But as we move on to our next category, which is costume design, Jacqueline, the first time that in this show anyway, we've heard names like Cruella and Cyrano. Either one of those have a chance?
Yes, this is what's so bad is Cyrano is so great and nobody got to see it. And it's Peter Dinklage being absolutely incredible. But this category, for the most part, is gowns, beautiful gowns, as it were. And so I honestly believe that it could come down to which of the gowns did they like better. And I just feel Cruella was such a sort of like punk rock. It also won the costume designer awards. There were several things that were sort of snubbed throughout that thing, but Cruella is the more, I'd say, consistent one. However, I want to just say Dune also has a very compelling argument for costuming, and it's Jacqueline Durant, I believe, for that one. And she has such a long and incredible lineage with the Academy.
So you're going Cruella, though, for the pick? I'm
going Cruella for the pick.
Okay, Scott, your pick?
This is a toss-up between three of the nominees: West Side Story, Dune, and Cruella. And this is one of the categories where I think, it might be a sort of a knee-jerk reaction to lump this in with a lot of the other crafts categories where Dune will win and say, oh, well, Dune should also win costume design. But Cruella is a movie about costume design, okay? And Cruella, like Jacqueline pointed out, it is a punk rock looking film. It is a fully realized movie. It has a really, really unique look to it. I loved Cruella. It came out last May, I think. It's one of the first movies I saw back in theaters after, everything. But I think I'm going with Cruella for costume design because it deserves it.
Well, there we go. Cruella, the fans went with Cruella as well, 40%, which surprised me because I thought maybe West Side Story would just run away with this. But then I forgot about, even before the film came out, Cruella had that very first image that Disney released probably 3 years ago, looking punk rock, of Emma Stone with the dog on a leash. You're like, what the hell are we in for? What we could be in for is an Oscar for costume design. So Cruella is also nominated for this next category, makeup and hairstyling. But there's also a movie called House of Gucci in there. How does that not get nominated for costumes? It's House of Gucci, for crying out loud. Scott, make the world right.
Okay, well, makeup and hairstyling we're talking about now. Okay, well, again, I feel like in this case, makeup and hairstyling goes hand in hand with costume design, and I'm again going with Cruella here. Again, I think that Dune is absolutely a worthy choice, and I have to say that The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Linda Dowd's, she is also absolutely worthy. The evolution of the makeup and hairstyling in the Eyes of Tammy Faye. I mean, Cruella is Cruella, but the way you see Jessica Chastain, her look evolve as the progression of that movie goes along, and she certainly spent at some cases more than 7 hours in the makeup chair. But geez, makeup.
He's getting cold.
Wait a minute, I'm changing my mind. I'm going with The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Good man. Good man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going with The Eyes of Tammy Faye because it's just like, as I'm talking about this, I'm realizing that, again, it's the evolution, the progression. You see the hair and makeup get more and more prominent, becoming like a character unto itself on Jessica Chastain, and I'm going with The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Linda Dowd's.
Thanks. No, I'm sorry. He's completely right about that. And I was like, oh, let him say Gucci, let him say Cruella so I can score.
Well, I was not going to say Gucci.
No, I know. Well, so this is the thing. A lot of people are saying Gucci because of Jared Leto. Look, Jared Leto, I saw him walk past me last night when we were doing the SAG thing. And honestly, he's like a strikingly beautiful man.
Yes.
Any videos of him talking about turning into Paolo from House of Gucci is a sales pitch unto itself, because you're staring at this. It's like watching Marlon Brando in the first Godfather at the height of his sort of sexual power, playing this aging man. You're like, underneath that, I know what's there and it's gorgeous. So you almost get wrapped up in it. But Scott is absolutely right. It's the progression of The Eyes of Tammy Faye, not only in her, but in her co-star Andrew Garfield. They also did a ton of work on him. And it is that progression. It is watching how her looks change over the year, from this very innocent girl who's getting in trouble basically for wearing mascara in church, to eventually, fully tattooed eyebrows and eyeliner towards the end of the story. And for all of that to feel believable, and for you to lose Jessica Chastain in it, on top of the incredible hairstyles that Tammy Faye wore, I do think it's Eyes of Tammy Faye, maybe setting up another similar run to what Judy did with Renee Zellweger.
All right. So The Eyes of Tammy Faye, the fans went 35% towards Cruella, but then seeing y'all wholeheartedly agree on The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which just brings up a great point. No one can talk Scott Mantz into making a decision better than Scott Mantz. Even if he has to talk himself into it live, we literally watched history repeat itself, kids. So now we're going to move on to where the hills come alive, because it is the sound of music, and we're starting with original score. Jacqueline, what gets you up in the morning?
Well, Nicholas Britell quite literally gets me up in the morning, because he is the soundtrack of my writing life. I can't write with words in the background, so I always put on movie scores, and he is still to this day, 3 years running, my top Spotify playlist. However, I think that I'm going to give this one up to Johnny Greenwood for Power of the Dog. He won a lot of the precursor awards, and the subtle dance that is done within Power of the Dog is mostly done through musical cues. The score actually, because so much of what is going on in the Power of the Dog is left unsaid, the score is more than anything a driver of the plot. And Johnny has spoken how him and Jane talked about where those themes went, and when you knew things were safe and when you knew that they were in danger was very much determined by the chord structures and the music he put underneath it. So Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog for Jacqueline, for Scott Mantz.
When I think of the scores that wake me up in the morning, I think of John Williams for The Empire Strikes Back. That does it to me every time as my favorite musical score of all time, next to the Blade Runner score and next to Close Encounters. Those are the three. And I also like Alan Silvestri's score for Back to the Future. Those are the four. Oh, and Jerry Goldsmith, his score for Star Trek: The Motion Picture. So those are the five. Those are the five scores that get me going.
All popcorn feature big scores. So
yes, big scores. That's why I'm going for, you guessed it, Hans Zimmer for Dune. And the reason is really simple, because when I was looking at this category, I was going, which score do I really remember here? And the score that I remember is Dune. I felt that score, and it was fitting for that movie, a movie that was real. And the score just accentuated all that. I've seen Power of the Dog 4 times. I do not remember anything about that score, regardless of, the conversations, Jacqueline, you had with Johnny Greenwood. I'm just going with my heart. Hans, it's yours, boss.
All right. And this is why we do the show. This is why you're not just looking at the end picks for what we have, which we will have for you, RottenTomatoes.com, but we also have these kind of debates so that you can wrestle that around with what you're feeling in your head at home. Jacqueline's going Power of the Dog. Scott's going Dune. And I'm going to stick with Dune because the fans are making me. They're at 38% for Dune. And so, Jacqueline, I'm going with Hans Zimmer. Bong. But Scott, the only bone I have to pick with Scott now is that, Jerry Goldsmith, the score for Star Trek: The Motion Picture is great, but you want a Jerry Goldsmith score to wake you up in the morning, go to the gym, put on Rudy. You're welcome. Original song now goes to you, Scott Mantz. What's kicking off original song and what's winning?
So original song, I mean, again, the only song that I remember here is No Time to Die from No Time to Die. So that's what I'm going with, and I'm going to keep it short. No Time to Die, baby. Original song.
They made it easy. The name of the song is the same as the name of the movie. Yeah. Jacqueline, you making it simple this time?
That's it. I'm with you.
No Time to Die. That's going to be the winner.
It already won the Grammy. What else are we going to do? It's already won.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the fans felt the same way, with a majority of them going with No Time to Die. I was shocked that Encanto wasn't the fan favorite because I've just heard so much love for that soundtrack and for the songs in there. But that is the way it goes here at Rotten Tomatoes with our pre-Oscar spectacular, No Time to Die. So let's go to sound. Let's go to those sound, because try to watch a movie on mute and just tell me if it's as powerful without the sound. Jacqueline, which one had the most powerful sound?
This one is easy. This is Dune, without question. This one is very easy. The mixing of Dune is incredible. When you talk about the attack on Dune that the Iliad hosts suffer, that alone won it for sound, in my opinion. It is just such a complex endeavor. All
right, Scott, are you on the same spice as Jacqueline?
I'm absolutely on the same spice. Dune for sound, I mean, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Of course it's of course.
That's one of the five that I say is a no-brainer, by the way, too. Dune for sound.
That's a no-brainer for sure.
All right. Well, our audience thought it was a no-brainer as well. First time that we've had a vote over 50% go to one movie. 54% of our fans saying Dune in that poll as well. And so we move off of sound, music, sound effects, and we go to production design. This is one of those craft categories we're talking about. So, Jacqueline, which one is taking top honors at this year's Oscars?
This is what's tricky. So Nightmare Alley actually, I believe, has an incredible production design and it is riveting. However, a lot of it is just them going to really cool places, and the fact that Searchlight gave Guillermo a bunch of money, he could secure these incredible locations. The actual production design that is incredible is Dune. I mean, it is absolutely jaw-dropping what they were able to do to create a world that is intangible. It was created in Frank Herbert's novel, but it was intangible. It was in the mind of viewers, and it made it as real as, walking into your living room. So all about Dune.
Yes, I agree. Dune, again, absolutely for production design. And again, a big reason for that is because of how real Denis Villeneuve wanted to keep this, how practical the sound stages that they used, going on location all over the place. They could have just, kept it simple and green screen, didn't CGI'd it, but no, they kept it real. And I think that's why the movie looks as unique as it does. Production design for Dune all the way.
51% of the fans agree, above 50% as well for Dune. So the fans here really stumping for Dune to win as many Oscars as possible. Okay, we're moving on to visual effects, although this may sound like I'm rattling off some names that you could hear in the fan vote, because Spider-Man No Way Home is nominated, Shang-Chi is nominated, but are either one of those movies going to win, Scott Mance, for best visual effects?
Well, because Spider-Man No Way Home was not nominated for Best Picture, maybe this is where Spider-Man No Way Home will win. No, VFX go to Dune. Dune, again, this is another on that, sort of like Mad Max Fury Road train. See what I did there, Mark?
It was a road. It was a train. I like it.
Yes. Attaboy.
You, sir, are my Snowpiercer.
Yeah, all right. Dune, VFX. I mean, come on. Really? Of course.
Jacqueline, do you feel as confident as Scott does?
Easy for Dune visual effects. I'm just laughing at the train and the car, and just Mance and Mark having their love affair. Honestly.
Hey, look, I would have gone with something. I would have gone with No Time to Die or Free Guy. No, I'm kidding. I would have gone Dune, as did the fans. 48% for this one. So let's go to documentary short subject. Completely turning away from your big 2.5-hour epics like Spider-Man, and we're going to a short subject documentary. Jacqueline, what's good?
On short subject documentary, there's like a ton that are relevant. However, the Queen of Basketball is one that I think folks should really pay attention to. They are talking about a forgotten basketball player, and more importantly, it is the one that is backed by the best studio. So I'm going with the Queen of Basketball.
All right, Scott, that's the key to my heart.
When it comes to the shorts, this is my kryptonite. So if Jacqueline has a more informed opinion on these shorts, I'm deferring to Jacqueline.
By the way, the fans had the Queen of Basketball as well at 36%. So now we will go to the short film live action. So unfortunately, our good friend Robert Butler III's film Timestamp, not nominated this year, possibly something else for him down the line. What is nominated, and more importantly, what's going to win, Jacqueline?
Yeah, so we have Take and Run, The Dress, The Long Goodbye, On My Mind, and Please Hold. What's really interesting is The Dress, The Long Goodbye, and Please Hold have all been campaigning pretty heavily. I have now seen at least those three. I'm going to go with The Dress, not because I'm just a girl, but because it is another one of these stories that tells a story across generations, and it's really compelling. And also, yeah, I'm going to go with that one. The other ones are, I would say, it's the more uplifting of the choices.
Okay, Scott, you going with The Dress?
I'm going with The Dress because my informed opinion about the dress just came from Jacqueline Coley herself. So there you go.
Oh, man, then we are really messed up on live animated short, because this is going to be fun.
Okay, so The Long Goodbye is the way that the fans wanted to go, 42% worth there. So let's go to short film animated. This is always sort of a stacked category just because you see things open for big time movies and your heart goes with that. But then there's some other ones that maybe folks didn't get a chance to check out. Scott, do you have any lean? Did you get to check out a lot of short animated films this year?
The animated shorts. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've seen these movies 5 times each. So I'm going to go with Robin on Netflix because I just like the name Robin, and it's there twice. No, that is not an informed opinion. Jacqueline, what do you have for animated shorts?
I'm literally right there with you on this one. I have not watched the animated shorts yet. The reason why I'd seen the live action ones was because I sat on a panel with them, and the documentaries is because I sat on a panel with them. I have not seen any of the animated shorts, but I do know Robin's with Netflix. And just so you know, they do quite well on the short side.
Yeah,
all right, then I'm going to, look, you're both taking Robin, so I'm just going to have to be the informed one and say that I dined at a Red Robin not 1 week ago and had a delightful lunch. And so I'm going to go with Robin. That is the way that it falls for best animated short. And with that, we're not done yet, folks. No, now it's really starting to heat up because we have 4.5 categories left. And we're going to start with Best Lead Actor. Best Lead Actor. Here we go. Jacqueline Coley, you're kicking us off. Who is winning? Who is holding up that statue? Who gets to give a heartwarming speech?
Will Smith, send tweet. It's so simple.
All right.
Like he's been the front runner. As much as I'd like to say Andrew Garfield could give him a run for his money, and he might be able to, Will Smith's going to probably give us some good speeches this year. They're going to continue to cement him. And if he wins the BAFTA, it's over.
Will Smith wins. It's his year. It's his third nomination after Ali and Pursuit of Happiness. Pursuit of Happiness came out in 2006. Ali in 2001, Mr. Movie release dates. But all of the actors nominated for Best Actor were also nominated for the SAG Award. And Will Smith won. And out of the previous 27 years, the winner of the SAG Award went on to win Best Actor at the Oscars 21 out of 27 times. But those stats mean nothing. It is Will Smith's year. He's due. And important here, he also produced the movie. So it is not like he just showed up and acted, like that would have been enough, but he is a champion of this film, and he is a champion as a producer as an actor. It's the performance of his career. It's a slam dunk. Will Smith gets Best Actor.
I am with you. I think Will Smith gets it. So what I'm surprised by is not that y'all agree or that I agree with you. It's that the fans went Benedict Cumberbatch for the Power of the Dog. 51% saying Benedict Cumberbatch is going to win. So the Power of the Dog doing something special for the fans right now, not necessarily for our panelists as much, but maybe that changes with the next few categories, which now leads us to your Best Lead Actress, Scott Mantz, who is going to be on stage.
I felt like in my heart, Jessica Chastain gave the better performance. It was showier. Again, just like the makeup, she evolved. She had the Minnesota accent. She sang. I mean, that last song that she sang, she just belted out, was like a wow moment. That was her for your consideration moment. And out of the previous 27 years, the winner of the SAG Award went on to win Best Actress at the Oscars 19 out of 27 times. I don't think that stat makes a difference, but I do think the fact that Jessica Chastain won, like I felt like, great, I'm happy she won. She deserves to win Best Actress, and I'm saying she will win Best Actress at the Oscars.
All right, Jacqueline, could be interpreted as a spicy take. Now, you know me pretty well. You know I love my college basketball. And when I look at this like a March Madness bracket, this is the region where anybody could come out and make the Final Four, right?
Yeah, maybe. This is the one where anyone could come out. Scott has already made like the best argument ever for any surprises that could happen. In my mind, this has always been between Olivia Colman and Jessica Chastain and Penelope Cruz once the nominations came out. I didn't think Nicole Kidman was really the front runner because so many people, I think, are not as in love with that performance. But I'm going to go with Jessica Chastain. I do feel she's in time for a Judy run, because she can definitely talk about Renee towards the end of her run with Judy was able to talk about where Judy Garland was and what we did to her. And Jessica will be able to do the same kind of story when she goes into the second half of campaigning. Also, she has a secondary nomination with makeup and hairstyling. And with Zero Dark 30 and The Help, she can have it's time. She's due argument.
Agree completely.
Kristen can't have that. Penelope can't have that. Olivia can't have that. And Nicole can't have it. 3 of them already have the Oscar, and the other one just got here.
And also, I just want to throw in for Jessica Chastain, like Will Smith, she produced The Eyes of Tammy Faye. She worked on this film for almost 10 years to get this going. And here we are. And Jack and I already went with Linda Dowds for hair and makeup for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. And I mean, the performance and the makeup, they really, really do complement each other. Jessica Chastain, really, I'm surprised people haven't said this before, but Jacqueline is right. It's time for Jessica Chastain to win her first Academy Award for Lead Actress.
Okay, that surprised me a little bit. I didn't think y'all would be as in agreement. I thought there might be some horns locking here, but you're both taking Jessica Chastain, whereas the fans, 39% say Kristen Stewart for Spencer. So
surprise.
Of course.
Hey, could be anybody coming out of that. And Olivia Colman, always a threat. Don't believe me? Just ask Glenn Close. So we'll move to directing. This is the penultimate award, at least for us here. And usually that's the way it goes in the Oscar show. Who is going to win the Oscar for Best Directing? Jacqueline Coley, the floor is yours.
Jane Campion. That's one of my 5. That is a lock. Jane Campion has now made the incredible feat of being the second woman to ever be nominated for Best Director, a feat that no other woman had achieved before. She has been long due a director prize, considering she directed a Best Picture winner. So Jane Campion.
57% of the fans agree with Jacqueline, but does Scott Mantz?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Spielberg. I mean, Kenneth Branagh, Paul Thomas Anderson. You got Rasuki Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. Could he pull up director Bong Joon-ho? I don't. Of course, it's Jane Campion. Are you kidding? Of course, it's Jane Campion. Jane Campion will be the third woman to win the Best Director, and it'll be the second year in a row that a woman wins Best Director after Chloe Zhao won last year for Nomadland. If there is a lock in anything, in addition to Best Actor, this is it. Jane Campion is a lock. Best Director for sure for Power of the Dog, and Channing Tatum could not be happier. Yes, I did another Channing Tatum joke.
you might get some run-off box office for. I'm just telling you, that's the way the world works. You show up, you say, "Give me one for the dog movie." You go on Fandango, you hit the button for the dog movie. You just don't know what you're getting, but you're getting a pretty good movie either way. Yeah. But maybe not the Best Picture. That's the category we've arrived at. Oh no, wait! I'm being told in my ear there's a special sort of kind of 24th category that at least fans can vote online on Twitter. You can cast your fan favorite vote, which will be announced at the Oscars, and this is whatever movie you want, whatever your favorite film of the year was. And so naturally, some folks are looking at this as the popular movie award for the best popcorn flick, the best mass audience appeal movie. Could be Spider-Man No Way Home. Maybe it could be something else. So let me get y'all's thoughts on the fan favorite. Jacqueline, Scott, which movie is going to be in the hearts of fans at the Oscars?
Oh, Jacqueline.
Well, I'll just put it to you this way. It's a Twitter and a internet vote. So the internet can decide to do Bodie McBoatface, or they can give us greatness. And I'm afraid we might go the Bodie McBoatface. What I mean by saying that is people are going to rally behind a choice which may not be the consensus choice, but it makes a statement about what they feel about this. And currently, I believe it is Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead is a part of that. Yes, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead is a part of that campaign because people feel that Zack Snyder's Justice League should have been available for consideration. It obviously wasn't because that was a strictly TV play that was marketed as a television show, basically. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go with the easiest choice, which is Spider-Man No Way Home. However, let me just say chaos could reign.
Scott Mance, you're an agent of chaos.
Chaos and I go hand in hand, okay? I mean, come on. Of course it's going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home should have been nominated for Best Picture, not just because it made more than like $500 trillion across the galaxy, but because it is a really, really great movie. And the last hour of Spider-Man No Way Home is as good as any movie, any superhero movie is going to get. The last hour of that film when spoiler alert for Spider-Man No Way Home, when Andrew Garfield showed up and then Tobey Maguire showed up, my spider heart was beating so very hard. I love that movie. It deserves to be nominated for Best Picture, and that is why it is the obvious and the right choice for the fan favorite. And if it doesn't go to Spider-Man No Way Home, I will be absolutely surprised.
All right, well, it's got to be a movie that came out last year. And so, yeah, I hope that my cries for Godzilla versus Kong don't fall on deaf ears. It was nice, very convenient that we had a multiverse that could allow all these spider people to come back. But Spider-Man No Way Home is probably the smart pick. So I would go with that if you're including that in your Oscar pool. So have fun with that. When you're at home, you're hanging out with your friends, you're circling which one you think is going to win. You're probably watching this vid. Maybe make that the tiebreaker. Incorporate that in somehow. It's just going to up the fun quotient. So now we do go to the Best Picture of the year. 10 very strong nominations this year. Scott Mance, what is taking home the prize at the Oscars?
Here's the thing. This is a really tough category to choose. I am going with a film that I have been championing for 13 straight months. I've never wavered in my love for this movie, even after I was taken by so many of these other films that screened between Telluride in September and the December with the West Side Story. But I love the hell out of Coda. For me, Coda is the La La Land of 2021. I adore this movie. I've seen it many, many times. I love it every time. It brings me the feels every time. It is a movie that we need after these last couple of years. A feel-good crowd pleaser that just brings people to tears. I'm Team Coda, and I'm saying Coda for the win for Best Picture.
And Jacqueline, he said it was his La La Land, which I'll remind everybody did win Best Picture for about 15, 20 seconds.
2 minutes.
Jacqueline, now it's up to you. What is going to win Best Picture? Do you agree with our esteemed colleague Scott Mantz at Movie Mantz with Coda, or are you taking a different route?
Going a different route. And the reason why I'm going a different route is because, again, I know people watching this video are going to be like, oh my gosh, she's so leaning on storylines and what's this and what's that. Guys, it's because I've seen it do it so many times. I've seen movies that are arguably on their face, better movies, hands down, better performances, hands down, and a story was able to capture the attention of voters, because this is not about what the best film is. This is about who you can convince is the best film. And I think the film they're going to rally around, especially in our current times, I don't want to make light of what is going on, but the film that can absolutely be something that folks rally around when we look at the events happening in Ukraine and in Europe and say, look, these were people that had to say to themselves, the story of Belfast is about Kenneth Branagh's family, that were literally in the middle of a war zone when you talk about Ireland during the Troubles. And they made the decision to leave. Who makes the decision to stay? And it is literally Katrina Balfe and Jamie Dornan having that fight inside their family that plays out on screen. And there's tons of genuinely heartbreaking moments.
All right, so Scott is Team Coda, going with his heart, admittedly. Jacqueline, you're going with Belfast, which might be going with your heart, too. It's interesting to hear y'all talk about those two like they are front runners, although I think a lot of people, at least maybe in the months leading up to this, thought it was going to be the Power of the Dog. That's certainly the way the fans voted with 42%. And so as the tiebreaker, I could go Power of the Dog. I could go Dune right now. I could go Don't Look Up if I wanted to, but I'm going to go with my heart. And I see Scott Mantz going with his heart for Coda. I see Jacqueline going for Belfast, thinking about world events. And I think about the movie that I saw in a theater for the first time in months and was blown away by, and that was Belfast. I am going with Belfast. Scott, you said you wouldn't be disappointed if Belfast won.
I'm down with that.
I'm going with Belfast, but I think a lot can change in the time. We're recording this not too far from the actual Oscars, and so a lot can change leading up to it, but that's the way that we go as far as this panel here on the pre-Oscar show here at Rotten Tomatoes. I have merely been Mark Ellis. I want to thank my esteemed panel. Scott Mantz, you can find him at Movie Mantz doing all sorts of great things in front of and behind the scenes in the world of covering film. And Jacqueline Coley, not only she an editor at Rotten Tomatoes, not only does she light up a red carpet, you can also catch her as I'm really just her co-host, kids. I'm the Chewbacca to her Han Solo on Rotten Tomatoes is Wrong. You can get that wherever you enjoy podcasts, and you can follow her at that Jacqueline. For the entire team here at Rotten Tomatoes, thanks for watching and enjoy the Oscars. It's fun. Good luck in your pool. And Mom, I'm putting $10 and it's a confident $10 on it this year. Just you wait.